I've been telling the Tesla fanatics, he's got to get his act together quick because global competition is coming. This Audi e-tron is not a big surprise. We've known it was coming for the last 2.5 years. Mercedes is going to have one. BMW. Porsche is going to have a four-door sedan with a 300-mile range. General Motors has announced 20 different electric vehicle models. And the thing about all of these is they can all be sold at a loss for environmental compliance reasons, and the losses on the electric vehicles can be recouped on the internal combustion ones, which are the ones that 95% of Americans still want. So, and Tesla has no internal combustion engine vehicles on which to recoup the EV losses. So, to me, this is just another. What's happening is what I have predicted for the last 3 years is finally coming to pass. Is everybody in the global automobile industry is going to be offering high quality, high technology, high range electric vehicles, and the Tesla has no advantage, no technological advantage, no software advantage, no battery advantage, no advantages whatsoever. And it's not that there aren't enough recharging stations. That's not the issue. The issue is recharge times. But I'll get into that a little more later. The problem with the whole EV movement is that there was a colossal amount of hype.
Thanks for joining us once again. This is Greg. Today we open with Bob Lutz describing no advantages for Tesla, but then finally admitting that range anxiety and the speed of recharge are two big issues for consumer that's been shaping the interest in buying. So today we take some time to look forward on the analysis that Lutz had back in 2018 regarding the fact that Tesla would be wiped out by the onslaught of large numbers of great EVs from a number of competitors. Our viewers often ask us why a retired executive is still relevant. For big firms, the shift can take a long time, and old plans can and will still be in use. For example, Bob Lutz suggested a large battery in a Hummer would solve Tesla range and advantages. GM did that and sold only one copy. GM tried to move on to other designs from the Lutz guided bolt design, and COVID chip shortages and software issues forced GM to reintroduce the bolt to consumers instead of canceling. Compared to the dominance Mr. Lutz predicted, things have not worked out. As you saw, the issue for consumers was not new vehicles, but a well thought out charging network to deal with range anxiety. And obviously, as part of that charging network, there are other entities that do have, when you look at the totality, more charging than Tesla does, but most of those facilities are slow chargers and therefore not effective in allowing people to move around. We chose to visit our Lutz continuing saga today because it was reported that GM has now begun to use the Tesla charging facilities in partnership. I have to say I'm still confused because of the inconvenience to Tesla owners to have GM vehicles and Ford vehicles, especially large pickup trucks, occupying spaces that were built for cars. The GM partnership is also rather strange because GM leads a coalition of automakers that are one of the chief proponents of a system where Tesla and other buyers were basically not happy, but one of the reasons that GM was trying to get consumers to leave Tesla and move over to buying vehicles from them was their dealer network that's not part of the factory. So because of that, the lack of a dealer network, GM and its unions / Ford and its unions have been able to force many states, especially places like Michigan, to not allow Tesla to sell brand new vehicles inside its company-owned dealerships in those spots. Tesla, as you know, has come up with a number of innovative ways, be it long-distance driving to other states to get service for their vehicles, or even in the case of New Mexico and other places, having the Tesla sort of dealership facilities at an Indian reservation instead of in the normal location one would expect to find it. So the next thing I wanted to review is that I actually ran into a GM owner of a $100,000 Cadillac that was still suffering from the COVID-related nightmare within the last few months. As you know, GM and others had decided to cancel their chip orders, and that way they wouldn't have to carry inventory when no cars were being built and sold during COVID. But when they tried to go back and reignite those chip orders, they ended up in a bad situation where all those orders were now going to other manufacturers, mostly of video games, but just manufacturers of other things that needed those chips. So GM is still in the position now where they're offering the cars for sale and also offering for those consumers to get the chips associated, for example, with their navigation, advanced navigation system installed once they're available. The next sort of issue for us is it is kind of fun to watch GM and Lutz eat crow by having to partner with Tesla instead of building their own high-speed network. It validates the first principles of physics logic used by Elon and Tesla in its organization. Now, finally, Tesla still exceeds 50% market share after the entry of large numbers of well-heeled competitors. There's no doubt that the new availability of fast-charging Tesla facilities will impact Tesla's market share. So the question that nobody knows, including myself, is how does Tesla benefit from opening up its charging network? And does that open charging network now result in a large number of folks who would have bought a Tesla buying those other makes and using Tesla's charging facilities? Stay tuned. Obviously, we'll update you on this. The one other question mark that's going on, I guess, for GM and for Tesla and others is for high density cities like in New York or Chicago and other places, will there be sort of large numbers of charging spaces for people that live in condos and don't have garages into which they park their cars? And how is that all going to work? The answer is that clearly there's going to be a need to have excellent charging in different places that allow consumers to not have range anxiety in the process. As you may recall, this past winter, there was a situation that popped up where Tesla's charging facilities went down, and there were a large number of folks during the coldest part of the winter trying to recharge their Teslas unsuccessfully. So we're really hopeful, that whole thing is cleaned up. The final component of the whole charging network discussion is, as you know, Elon initially fired all the folks associated with maintaining and establish new charging facilities. He then, a few days later, sort of did an about-face and announced that Tesla would spend about $500 million this year, both maintaining and expanding the charging network. According to one of the now former Tesla engineers, he was saying that, yes, you need new facilities to expand the network to address the new inbound customers. You also need a move. Tesla's in mid 90s in terms of uptime, and Elon has talked about trying to get to 100% uptime, and that also needs investment of both people and equipment. It was also mentioned that one of the problems for Tesla's network and others is that there is vandalism that's going on. And there's also folks who've been stealing copper wires that are part of those entities. So there's also a need to maintain software. So there are a lot of elements to why Tesla's charging facilities work so well, and they're supercharging vehicles. So I'm eager to see better output by Tesla and more success. One other note on our show today is you'll notice that the B-roll that we ran was of the new Optimus. According to Elon, he's expecting Optimus to turn Tesla into a $25 trillion corporation. One note we should make as you've been watching Optimus is that it's actually less programming to simply have wheels instead of feet that move as they do. And one answer to this is the fact that those moving feet expand the number of places and uses one could use the robot in, especially if you have to go upstairs and other things of that sort. So yes, wheels would probably work better in the sort of large factory environment that is currently the case. But if we're going to get penetration of it in huge numbers of locations, it's probably a good idea to actually execute in the manner that Elon has chosen to do and Tesla has chosen to do. So this is the conclusion of our part of the show where we're reviewing whether Bob Lutz was right. Was it true that the large numbers of huge OEMs were going to come in and wipe Tesla out? And the answer is, if you're still above 50% market share and you have some of the largest, oldest auto companies in the world under the attack, it's a reflection of how good your company is and how good your products are. So congratulations to both Elon as well as, all concerned. This ends our formal discussion of the Bob Lutz checkup. Clearly, the blow away Elon plan is not going to happen, and we look forward to more success from Tesla in the space. We next move on to our health tips. Our health tip for today is from an internal medicine doc who recommended that once a year, once every 18 months, you should actually go to a place called Quest or another entity and have your blood drawn so that you can do a careful review of everything going on there in case there might be some health issues that are anticipated by the review of that health situation. So the other note is to encourage you to consider something called Celtic salt that is also an optimal one relative to salt intake. So I hope you found health tips useful. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Thanks once again for joining us. Tschüss, au revoir, lahitro, hodel haifez, trashiche, ni hao ma, kambawa. In Jamaica we say enough respect, walk good man, namaste, arrivederci.